The story opens in the grand arena of Cairo Station, where representatives from dozens of species have gathered for the choosing ceremony. An ancient Voltari tradition where a warrior princess selects her battle champion who will fight beside her in the coming conflict. The Voltari Empire faces invasion from the Krell Dominion, and Princess Alara, renowned for her strategic brilliance and combat prowess, must choose a champion who will stand with her when she leads her forces into battle. The arena is filled with elite warriors who have come specifically to be chosen, massive Centauri veterans of 100 battles, Valorian combat specialists with augmented reflexes, human special forces operatives with decorated service records. Each warrior has positioned themselves prominently, demonstrating their capabilities through ritual combat displays designed to catch the princess's attention. Among the crowd is Sergeant Ethan Cross, a human combat medic who's here purely by accident. He was supposed to be observing the ceremony as part of his duties with the Human Medical Support Delegation. But he ended up in the arena proper when he followed an injured attendant who collapsed before the ceremony began. Ethan helped stabilize the attendant and was trying to quietly exit when the ceremony began, trapping him in the crowd of assembled warriors. He's wearing his medical corps uniform, not combat armor. He's carrying a medical kit, not weapons. He's clearly not here to compete for the honor of being chosen as the princess's champion. He stays at the back, trying to be invisible, waiting for an opportunity to slip away without disrupting the ceremony. Princess Alara enters the arena with ceremonial guards, and the assembled warriors perform various displays of strength, skill, and martial prowess. It's impressive and intimidating, each warrior trying to outdo the others, proving their worthiness through increasingly elaborate demonstrations. The princess watches all of this with careful attention but no visible reaction. After nearly an hour of displays, Princess Alara raises her hand for silence. The arena falls quiet instantly, hundreds of warriors freezing in anticipation. Tradition dictates that she will now walk among them, assess them personally, and choose the one who will stand beside her. She moves through the crowd, examining each warrior with intense scrutiny. Massive Centauri veterans stand at attention. Valorian specialists demonstrate perfect combat form. Human operatives present their decorated service records. Each warrior is clearly desperate to be chosen, to gain the honor and prestige that comes with being selected as the Voltari princess's champion. Princess Alara ignores them all. She walks past the most impressive warriors, past the most decorated veterans, past those who have positioned themselves most prominently. She walks to the very back of the arena, where Ethan is standing awkwardly with his medical kit, trying to figure out how he ended up in this situation. She stops directly in front of him. Ethan, assuming she's about to ask him to leave since he's obviously not supposed to be here, starts to apologize. "Your Highness, I'm sorry for the intrusion. I was helping an injured." Princess Alara raises her hand, cutting him off. She turns to face the assembled crowd, and in a voice that carries throughout the arena with absolute authority, she makes her declaration. "I choose him." The arena erupts in shock and confusion. Elite warriors look around trying to understand who she's pointing to. When they realize she's indicating the human medic in the back, the one who's not even wearing combat armor, who's clearly not here to compete, the confusion transforms into outrage and disbelief. "Your Highness," one of the Centauri champions protests loudly. "That human is not a warrior. He carries medical supplies, not weapons. He wears no armor. He has made no display of combat capability. Surely you cannot mean to choose him as your battle champion." Princess Alara's expression doesn't change. "I have made my choice. By ancient law and binding custom, the chosen cannot refuse. Sergeant Ethan Cross of the Human Medical Corps, do you accept the honor of standing as my champion in the coming battle?" Ethan, completely bewildered, realizes that tradition apparently doesn't allow him to decline. "Yes, Your Highness, I accept." After the ceremony, once the shocked and disappointed warriors have dispersed, Princess Alara summons Ethan to a private meeting. He's still trying to process what just happened. He's been chosen as the battle champion for a Voltari princess, a role he has absolutely no qualification for and didn't volunteer for. When they're alone, Alara explains, "You are confused why I chose you. The warriors in that arena were stronger, more experienced in direct combat, more decorated. Any of them would seem the obvious choice for battle champion." "Yes," Ethan says honestly. "I'm a medic. I've had combat training, but that's not my primary role. I'm not a champion. I don't understand why you'd choose me when there were clearly more qualified candidates. They were not more qualified, Alara says firmly. They were more decorated, yes. More experienced in certain forms of combat, yes. But the coming battle requires something different than raw strength or tactical experience. She gestures for him to sit, and once they're both settled, she explains her reasoning. Every warrior in that arena was there to be chosen. They wanted the glory, the prestige, the honor of fighting beside a Voltari princess. They performed and displayed and competed for my attention. They saw this as an opportunity to elevate themselves. And I didn't, Ethan realizes. Because you weren't there to compete, Alara confirms. You were there because you followed an injured person to help them. When I entered the arena, you weren't performing for my attention. You were trying to leave quietly without disrupting the ceremony. While every other warrior was focused on demonstrating their strength to me, you were focused on not being a problem. She leans forward. Do you understand what that told me? While everyone else saw the choosing ceremony as opportunity for personal glory, you were the only person in that arena who didn't want to be chosen, who didn't seek my attention, who was focused on something other than your own advancement. But that doesn't make me qualified to be your battle champion, Ethan protests. It makes you exactly the kind of champion I need, Alara counters. I don't need someone who fights for glory or personal honor. I need someone who fights for the right reasons, to protect others, to serve a purpose greater than themselves, to do what needs to be done rather than what brings the most recognition. She's quiet for a moment. I watched you before the ceremony began. I saw you help the injured attendant without hesitation, without considering that it might make you late or put you in an awkward position. I saw you work with focus and competence, caring only that the person was stabilized and would be okay. That compassion, that focus on others rather than self, that is what I need beside me in the coming battle. You chose me because I'm a medic, Ethan says, understanding beginning to dawn. I chose you because you are someone who values preservation of life over pursuit of glory, Alara corrects. The battle we face is not one that will be won through individual heroics or displays of strength. It will be won through strategic thinking, through protecting our forces, through making decisions based on what serves our people rather than what brings personal honor. She meets his eyes directly. Every other warrior in that arena would have fought beside me seeking glory. You will fight beside me seeking to minimize casualties and protect lives. That difference is why I chose you. Over the following weeks, Ethan undergoes intensive training to prepare for his role as battle champion. It's not the combat training he expected. Instead, Princess Alara teaches him Voltari strategic thinking, explains the political complexities of the coming conflict, and most importantly, trusts him to challenge her tactical decisions from the perspective of someone focused on protecting lives rather than achieving military objectives at any cost. Their partnership develops into something more effective than either anticipated. Alara is a brilliant strategist, but she's been trained in Voltari military tradition that values honor and direct confrontation. Ethan brings a completely different perspective. As a medic, he thinks in terms of minimizing casualties, protecting vulnerable populations, finding solutions that preserve life rather than just achieving victory. When they plan strategy together, Alara proposes bold military strikes. Ethan asks about civilian evacuation routes and field hospital positioning. Alara calculates acceptable loss ratios. Ethan challenges whether any loss is truly acceptable when there might be alternative approaches. Their arguments are fierce but productive. She pushes him to understand that sometimes difficult decisions are necessary. He pushes her to ensure those decisions are truly necessary rather than just traditional. One evening, after a particularly intense strategic planning session, Alara tells Ethan something important. My advisors thought I was foolish to choose you. They said I should have selected a decorated warrior, someone with combat glory and recognized strength. They could not understand why I would choose a human medic who wasn't even competing for the honor. I'm sure many people agreed with them, Ethan says. They did, Alara confirms. But watching you these weeks has proven my choice correct. You challenge my assumptions. You ask questions my Voltari advisors would never think to ask because they're too embedded in military tradition. You force me to consider approaches I would have dismissed because you're not constrained by the same tactical training. She's quiet for a moment. But more than that, you remind me why we're fighting. Every warrior I could have chosen would have been focused on victory. on defeating the enemy, on achieving glory in battle. You are focused on why victory matters, on the lives we're trying to protect, on the people who will suffer if we fail. That perspective is what I need beside me, to ensure I never forget that the purpose of this battle is preservation of our people, not pursuit of military glory. The actual battle, when it comes, is brutal. The Krell invasion force is massive and well-coordinated. But Alara's strategy, refined through weeks of collaboration with Ethan, proves unexpectedly effective. Where traditional Voltari tactics would have emphasized direct confrontation and honorable combat, their approach focuses on protecting civilian populations, strategic withdrawals to minimize casualties, and precision strikes rather than massive engagements. Ethan's role in the battle is unlike any traditional battle champion. He's not at the front lines seeking glory. He's coordinating medical evacuations, ensuring field hospitals are positioned effectively, identifying tactical retreats that preserve forces rather than pursuing victories that cost too many lives. And critically, he's beside Alara during command decisions, asking the questions that force her to consider whether each strategic choice is truly necessary or just traditional. The turning point comes when Alara is presented with an opportunity for a devastating strike against the Krell command structure. But it would require sacrificing a significant portion of their own forces. Traditional Voltari military thinking would accept this trade. Victory at high cost is still victory. But Ethan challenges this, asking if there's an alternative approach that achieves the same strategic objective with fewer casualties. His challenge forces Alara to reconsider, and together they develop a different approach, more complex, less traditionally glorious, but ultimately more effective because it preserves their forces while still achieving the necessary strategic outcome. The battle ends not with the glorious victory traditional warriors expected, but with strategic success achieved through approaches that prioritized preservation of life alongside military objectives. Casualties are significantly lower than initial projections, civilian populations are protected, and the Krell invasion is repelled without the devastating losses that traditional tactics would have incurred. In the aftermath, Princess Alara addresses her forces and explains why she chose Ethan as her champion. "I chose someone the entire arena thought was unqualified, a medic, not a warrior, someone who wasn't competing for glory. And that choice confused many of you. How could a human who carries medical supplies rather than weapons be an appropriate battle champion?" She gestures to Ethan. "Because he taught me something our military tradition had made us forget, that the purpose of battle is not glory or honor, but protection of what we value. That victory measured in casualties and destruction is hollow if we lose ourselves in pursuit of it. That the most important question in any engagement is not, can we win, but how do we win while preserving the most lives possible?" She's quiet for a moment. Every other warrior in that arena would have fought beside me seeking personal glory. Ethan fought beside me asking at every decision whether we were truly serving our people or just following tradition. That questioning, that focus on preservation over glory, that is what won this battle with minimal casualties. That is why I chose him. Years later, when military historians study the defense against the Krell invasion, they note that Princess Alara's tactics were revolutionary for Voltari military thinking, representing a shift away from honor-focused combat towards strategic approaches that prioritized protection of life. And they note that this shift was directly influenced by her choice of battle champion, a human medic who never sought glory, who was chosen specifically because he valued preservation of life over pursuit of honor. Ethan and Alara's partnership becomes a model for cross-species military cooperation, demonstrating that the most effective alliances come not from choosing the strongest or most decorated warriors, but from choosing partners who bring different perspectives and challenge traditional assumptions. One day, years after the battle, Ethan asks Alara if she ever regretted her choice, if she ever wondered whether choosing one of the decorated warriors might have been safer or more traditional. "I never regretted it,"